Hello, miladies of inestimable value. The rarest kind of woman is the one who refuses to do what everyone else calls normal, and somehow she still wins. Society has always had a manual for how women should act. Smile often, stay agreeable, be social, blend in. But Sigma females, they burned that manual a long time ago, probably used it to light the candle they meditate with at 2 a.m. after cutting off 3 fake friendships in one night. Psychologists have long noted that people who operate outside social conformity often score higher in self-awareness and internal motivation. And that's exactly why Sigma females are walking paradoxes. Calm yet intense, detached yet magnetic, quiet yet impossible to ignore. They don't reject normal out of rebellion. They reject it because it feels spiritually boring. To them, doing what everyone else does is like trying to breathe in recycled air, suffocating, predictable, and painfully uninspired. So today, we're not talking about what Sigma females do. We're diving into the things they never do, the quiet refusals that make them untouchably powerful, dangerously intriguing, and, honestly, a little terrifying to anyone who still worships normal. Brace yourself. This isn't about attitude. It's about psychological sovereignty disguised as mystery. Number 1, they never chase admiration. They magnetize respect. Sigma females have no appetite for attention because they understand a brutal truth. Admiration is often cheap. Anyone can admire a mask. Respect, however, requires depth, and that's the only currency they deal in. While others exhaust themselves trying to be liked, the Sigma female's energy moves differently. She doesn't decorate her personality for approval or turn her authenticity into a performance. She just is, and that quiet certainty radiates louder than any attempt to impress. People can't quite explain why they respect her. They just do. It's in the way she carries silence like armor, the way she makes decisions without needing a committee, and the way she holds her ground without making a scene. She doesn't command the room by demanding it. She simply exists in full self-possession, and the room adjusts. That's the Sigma paradox. She attracts without effort because she never plays the attraction game. The fascinating part, her indifference is her magnet. When she doesn't chase validation, people subconsciously chase hers. When she doesn't try to please, they try harder to be worth her time. She flips the social equation. Instead of asking, "Do they like me?" she silently asks, "Are they even qualified to?" That's not arrogance. That's emotional clarity. Sigma females know admiration fades fast. It's built on novelty, not substance, but respect. That sticks. It's what people feel when they know you can't be manipulated, guilted, or controlled by flattery, and that unnerves people who rely on charm as a weapon. She isn't trying to be superior, she's just allergic to pretending. And authenticity, in a world addicted to performance, looks like rebellion. The Sigma female's quiet truth is this: she doesn't need anyone's applause to feel powerful. Her self-respect is the standing ovation that never ends, and that's exactly why the world ends up giving her theirs anyway. Number 2, they never reveal their chaos publicly. Sigma females are masters of emotional containment. When life hits hard, they don't broadcast it to the world or turn pain into a public spectacle. They process quietly, privately, and with a kind of strength that unnerves people who mistake silence for weakness. The truth is, they feel deeply, sometimes even more intensely than others. But they've learned that not everyone deserves access to their storm. They've seen how easily vulnerability becomes gossip, how sympathy often disguises curiosity, and how some people only show up to witness your downfall, not to help you rise. So they do something rare. They bleed inward and rebuild in silence. To outsiders, it looks like they're fine, even when everything is falling apart. But behind closed doors, they face every emotion head-on. not through dramatics, but through reflection, discipline, and brutal honesty with themselves. That's why their comebacks feel mysterious. By the time people realize they were struggling, the Sigma female has already transformed the pain into power and moved on. This habit confuses those who crave attention or validation. Society teaches people to share everything, to vent online, to perform vulnerability for likes and sympathy. But Sigma females see through that. They know public exposure often dilutes emotional recovery. The moment you turn pain into content, you stop healing and start performing. And that's something they'll never do. Their chaos is sacred ground, a private battlefield where they rewire, recalibrate, and re-emerge sharper than before. They don't announce their healing journey, they just return upgraded, detached, and 10 steps ahead. People often call them mysterious or emotionally distant, but that's just projection. In reality, they're self-contained, and that's a rare kind of power. The Sigma female doesn't need the world to validate her strength. She proves it quietly, through her ability to collapse and rebuild without witnesses, and that's what makes her terrifyingly admirable. She fights her demons in silence, then walks back into the world as if she never had any. Number 3, they never confuse peace with boredom. Sigma females understand that life isn't meant to be a constant thrill ride. While most people panic when the noise fades or the chaos stops, they see stillness as fertile ground. When life goes calm, they don't rush to fill the silence with distractions or meaningless activity. They know that real growth doesn't come from constant stimulation, but from observing, reflecting, and refining themselves in quiet moments. Stillness isn't emptiness to them. It's a laboratory. In those quiet hours, they examine their choices, their emotions, their strengths, and their weaknesses. They uncover hidden patterns in their own behavior, plan their next moves, and sharpen their inner power. While others mistake calm for stagnation, Sigma females recognize that evolution often occurs in subtle, invisible ways, far from the applause of the crowd. They're immune to the cultural pressure that equates busyness with success. They don't need to prove they're productive or interesting at all times. Peace doesn't make them restless because they're already full of ideas, full of strategy, and full of self-possession. They know that true mastery over life comes not from constant action, but from intentional reflection and disciplined patience. That's why people often misread them as detached or unmotivated. In reality, they're constantly moving inward, building resilience, and preparing for the moments that truly matter. Calmness doesn't make them complacent. It makes them lethal in their focus and unwavering in their purpose. For a Sigma female, peace is not boring. It's the edge where she sharpens herself, sees clearly, and evolves silently while the world chases noise. Number 4. They never emotionally multitask. Sigma females operate with a level of emotional precision most people can't even comprehend. When they give their attention, it is absolute. If she's with you, she is fully present. Every thought, every feeling, every nuance of the moment is absorbed with intentionality. She doesn't split her energy between people, distractions, or imagined scenarios. She experiences the moment completely, and in doing so, she makes the people around her feel either profoundly seen or sharply irrelevant. But there's a flip side. If her focus shifts, she doesn't linger. You no longer exist in her emotional field, not because she's cruel, but because her energy doesn't tolerate divided attention. She doesn't waste emotional labor on half-hearted connections or multitasking relationships. In a world where most people juggle feelings, expectations, and social obligations, the Sigma female's discipline feels radical, almost surgical. Her refusal to emotionally multitask isn't arrogance, it's efficiency. She knows that divided attention dilutes authenticity and erodes trust, both in herself and in others. By committing fully or not at all, she filters out superficiality and preserves her inner clarity. People who are accustomed to shallow emotional interactions often misinterpret this as coldness, but it's actually a mark of high emotional intelligence and self-respect. Every interaction with her is either fully absorbed or fully ignored. She doesn't cheat herself or others by pretending to care while her mind is elsewhere. Emotional precision is her discipline, her way of managing energy, and her method of maintaining sovereignty over her life and relationships. The Sigma female's emotional clarity is a quiet kind of power. She doesn't just feel, she feels deliberately, intentionally, and without compromise. That makes her unpredictable to those who are used to divided attention, and utterly magnetic to those who finally earn her undivided presence. Number 5. They never perform kindness to look good. Sigma females don't give to be seen. Their acts of kindness aren't for applause, likes, or approval. They're calculated, intentional, and rooted in understanding. When they help, it's not sentimental fluff or a hollow gesture. It's precise, effective, and often quietly transformative. They understand the difference between performing generosity and wielding empathy as a tool to create real impact. Their kindness is surgical. It targets the core of the problem, not just the symptoms. They don't waste energy on gestures that feel good on the surface but accomplish nothing beneath it. If she intervenes, it's because she sees the potential in someone, the pattern that needs disruption, or the truth that must be confronted. She helps when it matters, not when it's convenient or socially advantageous. People who rely on performative kindness often misread her as cold or uncaring, but the Sigma female is neither. She simply refuses to dilute her energy on shallow optics. She understands that true strength is in discernment, knowing when help is necessary, when silence is wiser, and when lessons are better learned through experience. Every action is measured, every gesture intentional. Her empathy is strategic. She invests in people and situations where her influence can create change, growth, or clarity. She doesn't give blindly or constantly. She gives in alignment with her principles and purpose. This creates a rare form of respect. People know her help isn't transactional, but it's valuable beyond measure. In a world obsessed with being liked, admired, or celebrated for generosity, the Sigma female's approach is disarming. She doesn't care about appearances. Her kindness is real, effective, and unapologetically selective. It's not for anyone else's satisfaction. It's an extension of her intelligence, her boundaries, and her mastery over herself and the world around her. Number 6. They never try to win arguments. They read them. Sigma females approach conflict differently from almost anyone else. While most people see debates as battles to conquer, she sees them as windows into truth. Winning an argument holds no value for her. It's fleeting, performative, and ultimately hollow. Instead, she listens, observes, and deciphers the hidden currents behind every word, gesture, and tone. To her, arguments aren't competitions. They're maps of human intention, revealing insecurities, desires, and unspoken fears. She notices the little things: hesitation, repetition, over-explanation. These aren't mistakes. They're psychological tells that expose vulnerability. Where others react emotionally or push to assert dominance, she absorbs the patterns, cataloging information with quiet precision. By reading, rather than reacting, she gains clarity that no victory in words could ever offer. This approach often disorients people. They expect her to argue back aggressively, to prove herself, to push for validation, but she rarely does. Silence is her leverage. Her calm observation makes people reveal themselves more than any forceful rebuttal ever could. They argue, flail, or try to dominate, while she quietly collects insight, understanding the real stakes beneath the surface. She doesn't need to prove she's right. Facts, logic, and truths exist independently of anyone's approval. Her power lies in perceiving the undercurrents and acting with precision later if necessary. To outsiders, it may seem like detachment or indifference, but in reality it's mastery. She recognizes that words are fleeting, but the knowledge gained from reading the person behind the words is permanent and strategic. In every conflict, the Sigma female emerges not with a win in her pocket, but with understanding, clarity, and the ability to move through people and situations without wasting energy on ego battles. Arguments are never about winning for her. They're about seeing the unseen, learning the hidden, and remaining untouchably sovereign in a world obsessed with being right. Number 7. They never chase the illusion of belonging. Sigma females exist outside the typical social currents. While most people live as if inclusion is survival, she doesn't crave membership in any group, clique, or tribe. Belonging to her isn't a measure of success or worth. It's often a trap. She's seen how groups demand sacrifices of authenticity, how fitting in often requires compromising values, silencing truths, or performing roles that feel unnatural. That's a trade she refuses to make. From an early age, she recognizes that her individuality is non-negotiable. Conforming for comfort or acceptance feels suffocating, like trading oxygen for poison. She'd rather navigate the world alone than dilute herself to blend with the noise. The social pressure to belong, to laugh when it's expected, to gossip when it's trending, to align with opinions that aren't hers, holds no sway over her. Her sovereignty is stronger than the desire for approval. This detachment often confuses others. People interpret her independence as arrogance, aloofness, or social deficiency. They don't understand that she's not rejecting them personally. She's rejecting the idea of giving away her essence to maintain an illusion of togetherness. Her relationships are built on alignment, not proximity. If someone or some group complements her authenticity, she engages. If not, she simply observes from a distance, never forcing connection. She understands that true belonging isn't given by groups. It's cultivated internally. She carries her own values, principles, and energy wherever she goes, making her presence magnetic and selective. The world may try to pull her into conformity, but she walks calmly, anchored in her individuality, proving that freedom and self-respect are far more valuable than temporary inclusion. For the Sigma female, the illusion of belonging is just another distraction. She doesn't chase it. She outlives it, outshines it, and quietly moves through the world on her own terms, untethered and untouchable. Number 8. They never stay where their intuition feels insulted. Sigma females trust their gut above all else because they understand that logic can be twisted, but intuition rarely lies. While most people rationalize red flags, make excuses, or give others multiple chances, she doesn't negotiate with her inner radar. The moment something feels off, something dishonest or manipulative, her instinct sounds an alarm, and she acts immediately. She doesn't argue with it. She doesn't wait for proof, and she certainly doesn't stay to endure the disrespect of her own perception. This makes her fiercely untouchable. People who try to manipulate, deceive, or gaslight quickly discover that her presence isn't a fixture. She disappears seamlessly, leaving no trace, no confrontation, no emotional mess behind. It's not revenge, it's preservation. She values her energy and clarity more than anyone's approval or temporary companionship. To her, staying where she feels disrespected by intuition is a slow surrender of sovereignty, and that is unacceptable. Her instinct is finely tuned through years of observing people and patterns. She can sense duplicity in tone, hesitation in actions, or subtle misalignments between words and intentions. Others may see these as minor issues, but to her they are signals, loud, undeniable, and actionable. Ignoring them would be a betrayal of herself, and Sigma females don't compromise their internal authority. What sets her apart is how quietly decisive she is. She doesn't linger in discomfort or drama. She vanishes like she was never there, leaving others to deal with the consequences of their own duplicity. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity in motion. Her respect for herself creates an invisible boundary that most cannot breach, and anyone attempting to manipulate her quickly realizes there's no negotiating her internal compass. For the Sigma female, intuition is sacred. When it is insulted, she doesn't debate, plead, or explain. She moves on, swiftly, silently, and with a confidence that leaves no room for second guesses. Number 9. They never use softness as weakness or hardness as armor. Sigma females have mastered a balance that most people never even recognize exists. They understand that softness isn't fragility, and hardness isn't a shield. To them, both qualities are tools, each with its own purpose, and they wield them with precision. When they are soft, it is intentional, a way to disarm, connect, or reveal a hidden strength that most people overlook. When they are hard, it is graceful, a way to set boundaries, command respect, and protect what is sacred without appearing aggressive. This blending of traits confuses those who live in a world of extremes. Society teaches that strength must look one way and vulnerability another. Sigma females ignore that binary entirely. Their power comes from the fluidity of their presence. They can be tender without being weak, decisive without being cold, empathetic without losing themselves. They don't perform these traits for effect. They embody them as a natural extension of their internal authority. Softness becomes a weapon because it draws people in while leaving them uncertain about their own assumptions. Hardness becomes grace because it commands without hostility, asserting control without force. They navigate social and emotional landscapes with this subtle duality, leaving others unable to categorize or predict them. This makes them magnetic and often intimidating because people are forced to confront the reality that true strength doesn't have a single expression. For the Sigma female, life isn't about fitting into molds of tough or delicate. She exists outside that simplistic polarity, blending qualities seamlessly to suit her purpose. People who expect predictable behavior find themselves off balance, while those who understand depth see brilliance in the harmony of contrasts. She teaches without words that softness and hardness are not opposites, but complementary forces. To underestimate either in her is to misunderstand everything. The Sigma female's power is in the equilibrium, and it is as subtle as it is devastating. Number 10. They never perform femininity for approval. Sigma females don't wear femininity like a costume to gain attention or validation. Their femininity isn't edited, packaged, or softened to make others comfortable. It's raw, unapologetic, and entirely their own. While most people mold themselves to fit social expectations, smiling when expected, playing cute, softening edges to be digestible, the Sigma female doesn't compromise. She expresses her womanhood on her terms, and that authenticity is both magnetic and intimidating. Her femininity is quiet but powerful. It doesn't scream for attention because it doesn't need to. It's in the way she moves, speaks, and interacts with the world, naturally, effortlessly, and without apology. It challenges anyone who tries to define her by their comfort levels. People used to performative charm often misread her as distant or aloof, but in reality, she is fully present, fully herself, and fully sovereign. She understands that performing femininity for approval comes with a cost. It teaches others that her value is contingent on their perception. She refuses that transaction. Her power comes from self-possession, from knowing that her essence doesn't need external validation to exist or be respected. Men, women, groups, or society at large have no say over how she chooses to express herself. This approach makes her unpredictable and commanding. She doesn't fit into cultural scripts or stereotypes of what women should be. That unpredictability is magnetic. It draws admiration not because she is performative, but because she is real, unapologetic, and unconcerned with external judgment. For the Sigma female, femininity is a state of being, not a performance. It's her energy, her presence, and her quiet authority. It intimidates those who expect compliance and delights those who recognize authenticity. She doesn't need approval, and that refusal to perform makes her power unshakable. Number 11. They never chase closure from chaos. Sigma females understand that closure is rarely found in explanations, arguments, or endless conversations. They've learned that some people are not capable of giving it, and that chasing it is a trap, a waste of energy, and often a source of more chaos. Instead of clinging to answers, justifications, or reconciliation, they walk away. They recognize that trying to force clarity from someone unwilling or unable to provide it is a surrender of their own power. Walking away isn't an act of defeat. It's a calculated decision. They don't linger in emotional limbo, waiting for someone else to make sense or apologize. They know that the answers they seek may never come, and that true closure is often self-generated. By removing themselves from toxic or chaotic situations, they reclaim control over their energy, their time, and their emotional state. This approach makes them unpredictable to those who thrive on drama or manipulation. People used to endless negotiation or guilt-tripping expect them to linger, plead, or argue for understanding. Instead, the Sigma female disappears from the chaos with silent decisiveness. She doesn't need to justify her departure, debate her reasons, or extract recognition of wrongdoing. She simply moves on, leaving the turmoil behind and taking only lessons, clarity, and resilience with her. Her emotional intelligence allows her to see that closure isn't always external. Sometimes it isn't delivered by the other person. Sometimes it's a state you create for yourself by setting boundaries, moving forward, and refusing to recycle pain. She's mastered the art of detachment, turning endings into strategic beginnings rather than prolonged arguments. For the Sigma female, chasing closure in chaos is a waste of life energy. She understands that the people who matter, the ones capable of alignment, respect, and truth, will naturally provide clarity through their actions, not words. Everything else is noise. Walking away isn't giving up, it's winning quietly while the rest remain tangled in drama. Number 12. They never participate in emotional tourism. Sigma females refuse to dip in and out of other people's lives for entertainment, curiosity, or fleeting validation. While most people flit from one connection to another, sampling emotions and drama like a tourist sampling souvenirs, she doesn't treat relationships or interactions as temporary adventures. If she enters someone's world, it's with purpose, presence, and intent, not for a thrill or a momentary ego boost. Her approach to emotions is deliberate. She understands that every interaction carries energy, and she refuses to squander hers on superficiality. Visiting someone's life for a quick emotional rush not only cheapens the experience, it also creates chaos that she instinctively avoids. She values depth over novelty and meaningful engagement over fleeting entertainment. This principle extends to all her relationships, romantic, platonic, or professional. She doesn't check in just to see what's happening, to gossip, or to be temporarily entertained. If she invests attention, it's intentional, measured, and often transformative. Others may see her as distant, uninterested or mysterious, but in reality, she is fiercely protective of her emotional bandwidth. Emotional tourism to her is the opposite of growth. It spreads energy thin, creates attachments to trivialities, and invites unnecessary drama. She navigates life with awareness, ensuring that every emotional connection either contributes to understanding, alignment, or mutual growth, or it doesn't happen at all. Her presence is purposeful, not performative. She enters lives to impact, to observe truth, or to share in alignment with her own principles. Anything short of that is meaningless, and she has no patience for wasting time on shallow experiences. The Sigma female's refusal to participate in emotional tourism is part of what makes her so magnetic and untouchable. She protects her energy fiercely, operates with intention, and ensures that every emotional engagement carries weight. She doesn't drift, she flows, and only where her presence has meaning. Conclusion: Sigma females operate on a plane that most people can't even begin to understand. They don't follow social scripts, chase approval, or dilute their essence to fit in. Every choice they make, from how they manage relationships, to how they navigate chaos, to how they wield their energy, is intentional, precise, and grounded in self-sovereignty. What makes them extraordinary isn't loud displays of power or dominance. It's the quiet mastery of themselves, the unwavering clarity of their values, and the refusal to participate in anything that diminishes their authenticity. They don't perform for admiration, they don't chase closure in chaos, they don't play emotional games, and they never compromise their intuition or authenticity for anyone. Their presence is magnetic because it is real, their decisions are respected because they are deliberate, and their boundaries are unshakable because they are non-negotiable. They walk through the world untethered from societal expectations, leaving behind a trail of intrigue, respect, and subtle influence that most will never fully grasp. Understanding Sigma females isn't about decoding a personality type. It's about recognizing a philosophy of life. It's about seeing the power in discretion, the strength in solitude, and the intelligence in knowing when to act, when to observe, and when to simply move on. They remind us that real power isn't loud or performative. It's internal, unwavering, and unapologetically authentic. So if you've been captivated by the depth, the mystery, and the extraordinary ways Sigma females navigate life, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel for more insights that go beyond the surface. Comment below to share your thoughts or experiences, and share this with someone who needs to see the rare power of authenticity in action. Dive deeper, stay aware, and remember, real understanding begins where the noise ends.